Okay, let's jump right in. Right now, there are two massive, and I mean massive, financial stories happening at the same time. And on the surface, they completely contradict each other. It really doesn't seem like they can both be true. But when you look at the data, it becomes clear we're in the middle of a historic shift, a real change in who owns capital, and, maybe more importantly, what they're using it for. So here's the paradox we're talking about. You've got one reality where wealth at the very, very top is concentrating at a speed we have just never seen before. I mean, in just 1 year, global billionaire wealth shot up by an insane $2 trillion. But then you have this other reality happening right alongside it. It's the largest transfer of wealth in human history, with a mind-boggling $80 trillion getting ready to move into new hands. So how is that even possible, right? How can wealth be piling up at the top while also spreading out to new people, all at the same time? To really get a clear picture, we have to dig into the numbers behind both of these trends. And that is exactly what we're going to do in this explainer. All right, let's start with that first piece of the puzzle, the Great Wealth Divide. The data here is, well, it's pretty stark. It shows this incredible acceleration of wealth being concentrated at the very top of the economic ladder. And the scale of this is just staggering. Think about this for a second. The richest 1% of the entire global population now owns 45% of all the world's wealth. That's a level of concentration we've really never seen before. To bring it a little closer to home, here in the US, we now have 902 billionaires. And get this, their combined wealth is $7.6 trillion. That number is so big, it's basically the same as the entire GDP of some pretty major countries. Now, this concentration isn't just a number on a page. It has a real impact on things like economic mobility. For Americans who are born in the 1980s, that classic dream of earning more than your parents, it's now just a 50-50 coin flip. And that's a huge drop from the 90% chance their parents' generation had. So, the really important question is, how is all this wealth being built up? And the answer to that, well, it changes everything. New research is showing that a huge chunk of this, we're talking over 60% of billionaire wealth, comes from something economists are calling unmerited wealth. So what is unmerited wealth? Well, it's not about creating something new or inventing the next big thing. It's about building fortunes on advantages that are already baked into the system. Things like inheritance, having a monopoly, or, having powerful connections. It's less about creating new value and more about just collecting rent on the system as it is. Okay, but remember that other reality? While all that concentration is happening, there's another, equally powerful story unfolding right alongside it, and it paints a totally different picture. This is where we talk about that $80 trillion transfer, the biggest shift of capital in all of human history. Just to try and wrap our heads around that number, $80 trillion is the same as 3 full years of all global fixed capital investment. This isn't just a small change. It's a seismic shift of assets that's going to completely redefine who's in control of the economy for decades. So where is all this capital going? Who's getting it? Well, the money is moving into the hands of totally new groups of people. We're seeing women, millennials, and Gen Z investors take control of capital in amounts we've just never seen before. And this is a really big deal because this new class of investors, they have completely different priorities. They're much more focused on what we call ESG, that's environmental, social, and governance issues. They tend to be higher conviction investors, meaning they trade less, and they really want their financial products to be built around their values. And look, this shift in priorities is not some small thing. The data shows that something like 90% of these younger investors want their money to actively influence what corporations do about the environment. This is a fundamental change in what capital is even for. So let's recap. We've got these two huge opposing forces at play. On one side, you have wealth concentrating at the very top, a lot of it through these unmerited ways. On the other side, you have this historic transfer of capital to new owners who have totally new priorities. And this deep conflict, it's breaking the old market signals. The old rulebook just doesn't seem to apply anymore. If you've been watching the markets recently, you've probably found yourself asking this exact question. We'll see some huge economic news drop, a big policy announcement, maybe even a government shutdown, and the market just shrugs. It barely moves. So what's going on? Why is that? Well, there are two main reasons for this breakdown. First, there's a whole new economy driven by AI that's growing so fast that our old economic indicators just can't keep up. You can think of it like this. The gauges we used to use to measure the economy were never built to track something like the explosive growth of AI. And second, the data sources we've always relied on, things like labor reports and consumer sentiment surveys, they're becoming less and less reliable. Fewer people are even responding to them, which means the data itself doesn't really show what's actually happening out there. Now, I know this all sounds pretty complex, but it actually points to a very clear conclusion. To navigate this new financial world, the goal isn't to get better at predicting how the old system works, it's about understanding the new one. So here's the bottom line. Success isn't about predicting how the old economy is going to react to the latest news headline anymore. It's all about understanding the new systems, the new people holding the capital, and what they care about. Real clarity comes from changing your own mental model to fit these new rules. When you boil it all down, what we're seeing is a fundamental rewriting of the rules for wealth, for capital, and for influence. The entire system is shifting right under our feet. So really, the only question that matters is this: are you reading the right rulebook?